When you look at a monster, your brain reacts before you do. Your amygdala fires, cortisol floods your system, and your heart spikes to prep you for a fight you probably won't win. But in the Marvel Universe, fear isn't just about sharp teeth or jump scares. It's about biological viability. Today we're analyzing the scariest characters not by how cool their designs are, but by the raw science of their threat level. We're ranking them on a tier system from F to S. If you exist in the same room as these things, what are your actual odds of surviving? Let's look at the data. We are starting with a threat that triggers the oldest alarm bells in human evolution. Victor Creed, or Sabretooth, represents the apex predator paradox. Scientifically, he occupies a terrifying space in evolutionary psychology known as the uncanny valley, but applied to predation. He looks human enough to engage your social recognition centers, but his movement patterns and physiological signals are entirely those of a mega beast. This creature's a cognitive delay in your brain, a split second where you try to categorize him as man or animal, and in that split second, you're already dead. Consider the physics of his attack. Victor Creed is officially listed at 275 to 300 pounds, but unlike a human bodybuilder, his mass is dense, regenerative muscle, and reinforced skeletal structure. When he launches himself at a target, he isn't hitting you. He is transferring kinetic energy comparable to a motorcycle crash directly into your ribcage. A human femur takes about 4,000 newtons of force to snap. Creed generates that kind of force casually. The horror here isn't supernatural. It's the realization that you are mechanically fragile compared to an organism designed solely for disassembling biomass. However, when we look at the macro scale, his threat level drops. He is a serial killer, not a plague. His kill count is limited by his physical proximity. He has to be in the room to hurt you. He triggers a primal prey response, causing localized panic, but he doesn't threaten the species. He is terrifying if you are the target, but statistically insignificant if you live in the next town over. That limits his reach. The verdict, Tier C. He is a biological tank that exploits your fight or flight response, but he lacks the scale to be a global nightmare. The Brood aren't just aliens. They are the Marvel equivalent of the ichneumon wasp, a real-world parasitoid that inspired the xenomorphs of pop culture. In nature, parasitoids differ from parasites because they always kill the host. The Brood take this biological imperative and accelerate it to a terrifying degree. The science here revolves around rapid gestation and genetic rewriting. When a brood queen implants an egg, it doesn't just grow a baby, it overwrites the host's DNA. The horror isn't just death, it's the sensation of your own biology turning against you. You remain conscious as the embryo taps into your central nervous system, effectively hijacking the pilot seat of your brain while your body begins to mutate into an insectoid exoskeleton. This is a violation of the self on cellular level. A single organism can convert a colony of hosts in hours. Unlike a virus that might kill its host too quickly to spread, the Brood turned the host into a weapon that seeks out more victims. The hive mind aspect adds a layer of psychological erasure. You don't just die, you become part of the thing that killed you. Tier verdict, Tier A. This is a biological nightmare. The fatality rate for an infected host is 100%, and the speed of transmission makes them a planetary threat. Michael Morbius is often classified as a living vampire, but if you break down his condition through hematology and physics, he's less of a monster and more of a walking organ failure. His condition mimics a hyper-aggressive form of porphyria, combined with rabies-like aggression, but the math behind his survival doesn't add up. The fear factor for Morbius relies on the idea of being drained of blood. However, the science suggests Morbius is the one who should be afraid. Blood is a terrible fuel source. It has low caloric density compared to other tissues. To maintain his superhuman strength, flight, and echolocation, Morbius would need to consume an impossible volume of blood, gallons upon gallons, just to keep his metabolism from crashing. He isn't hunting you because he's evil. He's hunting you because he is perpetually starving. Furthermore, consuming that much blood leads to iron toxicity, or hemochromatosis. His organs would be under constant assault from the very thing keeping him alive. The mania he exhibits isn't superbiological bloodlust. It's likely the result of severe chemical imbalances and metabolic acidosis. He is a biological flaw, a mutation that burns too hot to be sustainable without constant, inefficient fuel intake. Tier verdict, Tier D. While dangerous in a dark alley, Morbius is easily contained by modern science. UV radiation physics and basic hematological treatments cripple him. He is a scary concept, but biologically, he is a broken engine waiting to seize up. Galactus is often framed as a villain, but scientifically, he is closer to a thermodynamic inevitability. In physics, the second law of thermodynamics states that entropy, disorder, always increases. Galactus is essentially entropy given form. He is a threat level that sits somewhere on the Kardashev scale between a Type 2 and Type 3 civilization, capable of harnessing and consuming the total energy output of a planet. However, when we analyze him through the lens of human fear response, a strange paradox emerges. Galactus is objectively the most lethal entity on this list, with a fatality rate of billions in a single feeding event. Yet, he is not scary in the visceral sense. This is due to a concept in philosophy and ecology known as hyperobjects, entities so vastly distributed in time and space that the human brain cannot truly comprehend them as a direct threat. Our amygdala evolved to fear predators with teeth and claws, specific immediate dangers that we can run from or fight. We did not evolve to fear a force of nature that consumes solar systems. When you look at Galactus, your brain processes him the same way it processes a hurricane or a black hole. You understand the danger intellectually, but you don't feel the primal, cortisol-spiking terror you feel when trapped in a room with a tiger. He is too big to trigger a fight-or-flight response because there is nowhere to run and no way to fight. Tier verdict, Tier B. This ranking creates a lot of debate, but the science stands. His lethality is absolute, but the fear factor is dampened by his abstraction. He is a walking apocalypse, but he doesn't haunt your nightmares like a predator does. Cletus Kasady represents a unique biological horror because of the depth of his symbiosis. Unlike Venom, who acts as a suit covering the host, the Carnage symbiote bonded with Kasady through his bloodstream on a cellular level. This creates a composite organism where the boundary between human and alien biology is completely dissolved. The physics of Carnage are terrifying. The symbiote acts as a non-Newtonian fluid, a substance that changes its viscosity under stress, flows like liquid blood 1 second, allowing him to slip through vents or absorb impacts, and hardens in a substance denser than diamond the next. He can project this biomass outward, turning his own blood into weaponized tendrils. The gore factor here is extreme because every weapon he forms is technically part of his own body. He is eviscerating you with his own fluids. Psychologically, Kasady introduces the variable of unpredictability. Most predators, even monsters, have a survival instinct. They hunt to eat or to protect territory. Kasady has no survival instinct. His bond with the symbiote is so absolute and his mind so fractured that he acts without regard for his own safety. This makes him impossible to intimidate or predict. You cannot bargain with a creature that views its own dismemberment as a fun novelty. Tier verdict, Tier A. The only reason he isn't Tier S is that he is still a physical object. The Marvel Zombies universe presents the Hunger Virus, a contagion scenario that breaks every rule of epidemiology. In standard zombie lore, the host loses intelligence, limiting the spread to shambling hordes. The Hunger Virus retains the host's cognitive function and their superpowers. Imagine a virus that doesn't just make you hungry, but gives you the tactical genius of Captain America and the speed of Quicksilver to satisfy that hunger. The caloric mathematics here are terrifying. A superpowered metabolism already requires massive energy intake. When infected, that metabolic furnace goes critical. A zombie speedster wouldn't just bite you. They would metabolize your entire body mass in seconds due to the accelerated burn rate. The R0 value, the transmission potential, is technically infinite because these zombies retain the technology to travel between dimensions. It is a plague that eats realities. Then there is the physics of the trauma. We talked about Sabretooth's force, but imagine the jaw strength of a zombified Spider-Man. The mechanical force would crush a human skull like a grape. The terror here isn't just pain, it's the betrayal of the savior archetype. The very hands meant to catch you are now tearing you apart with efficient, calculated malice. This virus corrupts the symbol of hope itself, turning gods into gluttonous monsters. Tier verdict, Tier S. This is the apex of biological threat. Once patient zero exists, containment is mathematically impossible. The Immortal Hulk, specifically the Devil Hulk persona, reframes the Green Goliath from a superhero into a study of body dysmorphia and cancer physics. Usually, we view regeneration as a miracle, but medically, uncontrolled cellular growth is cancer. The Hulk's regeneration is so aggressive it borders on malignant. When Banner transforms, he violates the law of conservation of mass. He gains hundreds of pounds of flesh instantly. In the Immortal Hulk run, This mass is explained as being drawn from a hell dimension called the Below Place. He is literally building a body out of metaphysical horror. The gore details here are visceral. When he takes damage, you hear the wet crunch of bone snapping and re-knitting. He can be dissected, his organs spread across a lab table, and he will remain conscious, smiling at you while his severed parts drag themselves back together. This creates a psychological horror distinct from the others. For Banner, his body is a prison of mutating flesh that he cannot escape. He cannot die. Even if you vaporize him, the metaphysical door swings open and he returns. It is the ultimate body horror, the trapping of consciousness inside a monster that treats lethal injury as a minor inconvenience. It turns the body into a separate entity that holds the mind hostage. Tier verdict, Tier A. He represents the terror of a biology that refuses to let you rest, turning immortality into a curse rather than a gift. So, what is the final diagnosis? Looking at the data, a clear pattern emerges. Pure physical strength, like Sabretooth or even the Hulk, is terrifying but manageable. The true S-tier nightmares are the ones that violate your autonomy. True horror isn't about dying. It's about losing control of your own biology while you are still using it. Which character triggers your fight or flight response? Comment your personal S-tier nightmare below, and make sure to subscribe to Nerd Science for more biological breakdowns of your favorite lore.